welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I am letting social media apps choose my September TBR. This idea has been in my head for quite some time, and I always want to prioritize reading the books on my shelves before going out and buying books. But I also have been loving my local libraries lately, and I think this might be a great way to support my local library for any books that we get recommended that I do not currently own. So we're gonna see what the apps have in store for me today. Typically, I have 6 books on my monthly TBR, so therefore we are going to have 6 different apps choose each book. The 6 apps will be TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Lemonade, YouTube, and Fable. How I'm gonna let these apps choose, for most of them, it's going to be based off the first book I see. So definitely like Instagram, Lemonade, and Pinterest is probably gonna be the first book I see on my Explore pages or home pages. While TikTok and YouTube, I might have to look up some book recommendations and see what pops up first. And then for Fable, I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna do it based off my homepage or if I'm gonna take like the mood quiz or use the Scout feature on that app. So I'm so excited for this because this is going to open up a whole can of worms of different types of books that I don't own, and I could go and find and see if I really love it. So I'm so excited. So let's start with our first app, which is Instagram. Okay, so here is my Instagram Explore page. We got some memes, cat videos, 21 Pilots, Bad Omens. We got a lot going on. I do see a girl with Lights Out opened, but I've already read that, and I also see a little book haul video, so I could possibly open that and see what the first book is, but I think I'm just going to use the search feature and look up book recommendation. Now, I'm not going to use the Meta AI suggestion. I want to see a creator's post. So I'm going to type in book recommendation and hit search. Not using the Meta AI, I'm going to maybe do the first one. Must read books of 2026 with Betty Bookish. Got some contemporary, historical fiction, romance, fantasy, sci-fi. So I have some options. I wonder if there's just like one book. Books that got me out of a reading slump. I think I'll stick with Betty Bookish, and none are really speaking to me, to be honest. So I'm gonna go to the next one and see books I will never stop recommending. Okay, I have read Yours Truly, The 7-Year Slip, Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It, Ready or Not, Emily Henry. Okay, Shatter Me is what I'm currently reading. The favorites I see is on here for miscellaneous fiction, and I do currently own the favorites, so I could choose that. Yeah, I could choose that because I own that. And I know I said I don't necessarily have to own it, but since there's so many recommendations, I think I'm gonna go with that because I do own it, and I think that'd be a good idea. So let's go with The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'll go ahead and grab it and show it to you guys. All right, so here is my copy. It is the Book of the Month copy. I actually picked this up from Goodwill because it was only what, like $3 for this, and it looks like someone was trying to sell it at a garage sale or something. But I remember this being so popular when it came out, which was January 2025, and I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on this book. I have a friend who actually, I think she audiobooked it and she didn't really enjoy it. So it is a fairly thick book, and I don't know much about it. I know, is it like ice skating? something, right? As the 10-year anniversary of their final skate approaches, an unauthorized documentary reignites the public fascination with Shaw and Rocha, claiming to uncover the real story. Yeah, I think this will be my first pick for September. I definitely don't think I would pick it up otherwise, so this will kind of prioritize reading it and see if it's worth. So first book pick from Instagram is The Favorites by Lane Farr. Next app is TikTok. Now I'm just going to search book recommendation and see what comes up, and hopefully it's something good. I see we have Heather McLary. Now I love Heather McLary. Me and her are birthday twins. Fun fact, we're the same age and same birthday, so we're birthday twins. I love her recommendations. I love her YouTube channel. This is her July reading wrap up, so maybe something in her reading wrap up will be something I want. And we're just gonna zoom through. Okay, we got Black Sheep. No. Okay, I've seen her talk about The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. So that's a yes. So that could be it.
This is Cora with a beautiful blend of romance in it. The yearning in this book is insane. Back to Victorian Psycho, and this is a maybe. There's some funny word in this. So if you were someone who's a little bit squeamish, maybe don't read it, but I absolutely love this. And there's a movie coming out that's book like and I'll be sad for that. I did a reread of The Love Hypothesis this month, and I read it in less than 12.
I've already read The Love Hypothesis, and I have a physical copy coming in the mail hopefully very, very soon. I bought it from Pango Books, so who knows if it will come in. Continuing.
Yes, for me, this is still to this day one of my favorite romance books ever. I can't read the movie. Next to Stormy Letter. This is basically Twisters, but I thought I really like this society.
Oh. Okay, girl.
It was a little boring and moments, especially toward the end. I don't know what exactly was. It had some boring moments, and it was not my favorite of mine. But The Late Night Witches is a yes if you want a cozy, witchy book. If you want a book that gives like practical magic vibes, this is the book for you. Save it for your TBR. I read this book in this month, and this is a yes, 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 big fat motherfucking yes for me. I love this fantasy book. Also a yes for the second book in the series, These Infinite Threads. I love both of these. I love the fantasy world. I love the blend of romance and fantasy. I don't recommend these two books. And then the last book that I read in the month of July that I don't know is The Whistler. This is a book that I would never.
Okay, TikTok did good by choosing a Heather McLary video as my first recommendation, and we're gonna go based off her first yes for her July wrap up, and that is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. So that will be book number 2 for the TBR. Up next, we have Pinterest. Now, I don't really use Pinterest too often, but there's some moments in time I do, and this is just my homepage, and I'm just giggling at the Snorlax picture in the top left corner, I'm sorry. But we're just gonna go based off my homepage, and I'm gonna just see if we have any book recommendations off the top of my feed. Now, I see this, and it looks like Check and Mate, yes, I think. Looks like George and Frankie. Do we not know who this is? It's just a bunch of comments. To me, it could be Check and Mate, so we're gonna keep going because I've read Check and Mate. You know, you can tell a lot about somebody with their Pinterest For You page or whatever you want to call this. Okay, we have the whole Shatter Me series here. Currently reading Shatter Me, so I could continue the series. That would be a good idea, but I think I'm gonna keep going. We got some fan art, and it looks like Once Upon a Broken Heart, maybe? Or no, what book? The Tales of Arcania Fortune by Hafsa A. Jawad. Huh. It says AI modified, so I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. Let me look up this book. Tales of Arcana Fortuna. I'm gonna look up that book real quick. The Tales of Arcana Fortune by Hafsa A. Jawad. is a book that came out June of last year. It says 7 Nights, 7 Tales. Young healer Serena Rose has always dreamed of fairy tales, but the chances of finding true love living alone in a cottage by the wood are slim. Instead, she spends her days chasing down mischievous woodland creatures, brewing tonics, and taking care of her family's ancient records of fairy tales, many of which have been outlawed in the Kingdom of Luminia, where she resides. However, her quiet life is upended when she is approached by a dark-haired stranger searching for a book in her family's collection, The Tales of Arcania Fortune. In between searching for more information on the book and fighting their budding attraction, they accidentally free a malicious immortal sealed with an ancient spell, cursed to be trapped in a different fairy tale. Each night, Serena must find a way through her trials, all the while trying not to lose her life, her freedom, and her heart. This sounds really good. And I've never heard of this book or this author, so I think this is going to be book number 3. I, want to read it right now. I love the fairy tale aspect. I love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That was just a fun series to follow with the fairy tales. Another book that I read was The Hazelwood that has to do with fairy tale vibes, so I love that aesthetic and vibes, and that fan art that kind of caught my attention. Definitely pulled me in. So yeah, because if this is how our characters look, I'm intrigued. So that is going to be book number 3 from Pinterest, The Tales of Arcania Fortune by Hafsa A. Jawad. Now, of course, we have to have YouTube choose my next book for September, and right away on my feed, I see Emmy Rossam. I love her 24-hour reading challenges, and she has one from 2 weeks ago, and I see some books in the stack that she's holding, so maybe those are gonna be our picks. So I'm gonna click her video, and I'm going to find maybe a frame where she shows the stack of books that she is going to read for this 24-hour readathon, and I'll pick a book from there. Okay, so here's her TBR for this readathon. It was her July TBR, I think she said. She has The Book Boyfriend, The Wing Game, Oathbound, Happily Never After, Made for Each Other, Tempting Venom. Now, I'm very intrigued with the Lynn Painter books, so I think I'm gonna choose one of those. Now I gotta double check to see if they're in a series or if they're standalone, so I'm gonna double check and see. They are not in a series, which is good, and I've noticed that I already had Happily Never After marked as I want to read, so I think that's what I'm gonna go for my YouTube pick. I have not read a Lynn Painter book, and I know she is really known for her YA romances, better than the movies. So I believe this is a adult romance book, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So thanks to Emmy for choosing my YouTube pick, which is Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. I don't see a lot of people talk about Lemonade. I don't know if it's because it's tied with TikTok or what, but I love just doom scrolling on Lemonade. There's so many fun posts on there, and I have gotten a lot of book recommendations on there. So we're just gonna scroll through and see, and I see right away books to read spooky edition. Now let's see, because September, fall time, what books are we gonna have? Okay, so she's got a picture of a shelf with many different horror books. We have It by Stephen King, The Exorcist, Dracula, Carrie, The Haunting of Hill House, Pet Sematary, Night Shift, Ghost Eaters. Ghost Eaters kind of piques my interest. The Stephen King books I'm not too interested in. I'm gonna keep going and see what else. I see we have some dark romance series, Barnes & Noble book haul. Nothing really piquing my interest. My recent reads and ratings: Hexed, Crescent City, Tempting Venom, House of Sky and Breath, For the Fans, Mindfuck Series, Crossing Lines, The Best Men, The Rose Bargain. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that spooky book recommendation because I will say that book at the end, Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman, I can't read. I'm gonna look a little bit about this book. This terrifying supernatural page turner will make you think twice about opening doors to the unknown. Erin hasn't been able to set a single boundary with her charismatic but reckless college ex-boyfriend Silas. When he asks her to bail him out of rehab again, she knows she needs to cut him off. But days after he gets out, Silas turns up dead of an overdose in their hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and Erin's world falls apart. Then a friend tells her about Ghost, a new drug that allows users to see the dead. Wanna get haunted, he asks? Grieving and desperate for closure with Silas, Erin agrees to a pill-popping seance. But the drug has unfathomable side effects, and once you take it, you can never go back. Huh. Okay. Seems interesting. I haven't heard a lot about this, and that's the kind of point of this video, is to find some books that aren't, you know, that popular but recommended by people, and I have never heard of this. So I think that's going to be my lone 8 pick, is Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. It seems interesting. So hopefully I can find this book at the library or something like that, because it seems interesting with taking a drug to see the dead. Last but not least, we are gonna use Fable. Now, Fable does have some like quiz type things that are gonna help me pick a book. So we're using the mood quiz to see what the next book is based off my current mood. So let's start this quiz. What genres sound good right now? Fantasy, I would say, horror, romance. What moods are you in for? Something mysterious, maybe. Dark, adventurous, maybe funny. Slow, medium, or fast-paced reads. Now, I love a fast-paced book, but I think I'm gonna do fast and medium. Anything you'd like to avoid? I'm gonna be honest, no. Nothing that I would like to avoid. Finding books that match your mood. Searching your want to read list, and whatever else is said. Okay, so we have the first one is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Now this is part of a duology, which is, I believe the next book is Two Twisted Crowns, so that does sound really good. House of Hollow. Huh. I've not heard of that book, but that looks pretty interesting. Deadly Education, House of Roots and Ruin, House of Salt and Sorrow, House of Flame and Shadow, Jujutsu Kaisen book 15 it looks like, Touch of Chaos, Phrased. Okay, I am really intrigued by this book, House of Hollow. Let's read a little bit more. By Crystal Sutherland. Dark, twisty, modern fairy tale where 3 sisters discover they're not exactly all they seem and evil things really do go bump in the night. Iris Hollow and her 2 older sisters are unquestionably strange ever since they disappeared on a suburban street in Scotland as children, only to return a month later with no memory of what happened to them. Odd, eerie occurrences seem to follow in their wake, and they're changing. First, their dark hair turned white, then their blue eyes slowly turned black. They have insatiable appetites, yet never gaining weight. People find them disturbingly intoxicating, unbearably beautiful, and inexplicably dangerous. But now, 10 years later, a 17-year-old Iris Hollow is doing all she can to fit in and graduate high school on time. Something her 2 famously glamorous globe-trotting older sisters, Gray and Vivi, never managed to do. But when Gray goes missing without a trace, leaving behind bizarre clues as to what might have happened, Iris and Vivi are left to trace her last few days. They aren't the only ones looking for her, though. As they brush against the supernatural, they realize that the story they've been told about their past is unraveling, and the world they've returned them seemingly unharmed 10 years ago might be calling them home. Huh. Okay. This is interesting. I've not heard much about this, but I like the idea of it for sure. And I think I'm gonna go with that for my Fable pick. I'm gonna say I'm interested in that and save that. And I think that will be our pick for Fable because I haven't heard a lot about this book. So why not? And there we have it. We had social media choose my 6 books for the month of September, so let's go through them. The first book was picked by Instagram, and that is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. The next app was TikTok, and we got a Heather McLary recommendation, which love her, is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. So that is a book too. Going into our next app, we went into Pinterest and we found some fan art, and we surprisingly came up with a book I've never heard of, and that is The Tales of Arcania Fortune by Hafsa A. Jawad. The next app YouTube did recommend the queen of 24-hour reading vlogs, and that is Emmy Rossum. She had a TBR stack for that video, and I chose Happily Never After by Lynn Painter to be on my September TBR. We then took some time and scrolled through Lemon 8, which had a lot of different book recommendations, but the first one caught my eye with our spooky edition books to read, and I went with Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. So I haven't heard anything about this book, but it seems interesting because what do you mean I can take a drug and I can see the dead? Last but not least, we used Fable's mood quiz to see what they would recommend based off my current mood, and they suggested House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. So a lot of books I have not heard of, and I'm super excited that these apps recommended them to me. I am so excited for this TBR because not only do we have some new books and authors I've never even heard of, but that means I also need to make a trip to the library or check out my Libby app to see if these books are available. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they are, or I can maybe find them at Half Price Books or something like that so I can read them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I definitely had fun seeing what each app was going to choose, and I definitely think I have to do this again sometime. Maybe with the same apps, maybe different apps, I'm not really sure, but it was super fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe. I post videos once a week, whether it's bookish content like this, lifestyle vlogs, kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. So if you like what you're seeing, you should go ahead and subscribe. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye!